The studio lights of the View blazed like 1,000 interrogators' lamps, casting long shadows across the polished table where America's queens of daytime television held court. It was a sweltering Tuesday in mid-October, the kind of New York autumn day where the air outside hummed with the faint crackle of impending storms, but inside ABC's bustling warren of sets, the real tempest was brewing. The audience, a sea of middle-aged women in vibrant blouses and men who'd been dragged along for the ride, buzzed with anticipation. Whoopi Goldberg, ever the unflappable anchor, adjusted her glasses and leaned into the microphone, her voice a warm rumble that cut through the chatter. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The View. Today, we're diving deep into the wild world of mental health myths because in this age of TikTok therapists and Instagram gurus, who knows what's real anymore? Joining us is the one, the only, Dr. Phil McGraw, straight from his ranch in Texas with wisdom sharper than a cactus spine. And of course, our co-hosts, Sunny Hostin, Sora Haynes, Alyssa Farrah-Griffin, and the firecracker herself, Joy Behar. Applause erupted like fireworks, but Joy Behar's smile was ablative, polished, precise, and ready to slice. At 83, she was the matriarch of mischief, her silver hair a crown of defiance, her eyes twinkling with the mischief of someone who'd outlasted 3 husbands and countless cultural shifts. Dr. Phil, broad-shouldered and silver-templed at 74, settled into the guest chair like a judge mounting the bench. His signature squint scanned the panel, lingering just a beat too long on Joy. The air thickened. You could almost hear the producers in the control room holding their breath. The segment kicked off innocently enough. Whoopi tossed the first softball. Dr. Phil, you've spent decades busting myths on your show. What's the biggest one out there today about psychology? Phil leaned forward, his Texas drawl rolling out like molasses over gravel. Whoopi, it's this notion that everyone's a victim of their trauma, and therapy's just a magic pill. Folks, life ain't fair, but you gotta own your choices. I've seen it 1,000 times. People hiding behind excuses instead of facing the mirror. Nods rippled around the table. Sunny chimed in with the legal angle, Sora with the mom perspective. Alyssa, the conservative voice, praised Phil's no-nonsense approach. But Joy was coiled like a spring. She waited, sipping her water, until the lull hit. Then, with the timing of a vaudeville pro, she pounced. Hold on there, cowboy, Joy said, her Brooklyn accent thickening for emphasis, like she was channeling her inner Norma Marie. Own your choices? Easy for you to say, Dr. Phil. You're a multimillionaire with a private jet and a fan club that worships you like some Freudian messiah. But what about the single moms out there, scraping by on minimum wage, dealing with systemic crap you wouldn't understand in 100 doper marathons? Trauma isn't an excuse, it's a chain. And your tough love shtick, it's just bootstraps for the privileged. The audience gasped. A collective inhale that sucked the oxygen from the room. Whoopi's eyebrows shot up like startled birds. Sarah's hand flew to her mouth. Alyssa shifted uncomfortably, caught in the crossfire. Phil's face didn't flinch, but his eyes narrowed to slits, the kind that said he'd stared down worse than a feisty co-host in sensible heels. Joy, he replied, slow and deliberate, drawing out her name like a verdict. I respect the fire. Hell, I admire it. But let's get real. You wanna talk privilege? I've counseled kids from trailer parks who clawed their way out of hellholes deeper than anything you've quipped about on this show. Trauma's real, sure, but peddling the idea that it's a life sentence, that's the real chain of the one you and your panel are friggin' right here. Telling folks they're too broken to fight back. Joy leaned in, undeterred, her rings clenching under the lights as she jabbed a finger toward him. Oh, please, you're the king of sound bites, Phil. How's that working for ya? Hey, that's not psychology, that's pop psych snake oil. Real experts, like the ones with actual PhDs in clinical practice, say resilience isn't about tough love, it's about empathy, community, policy change. You're out here shaming people on national TV. And for what? Ratings? Your next book deal? The studio erupted. Cheers from Joy's loyalists clashed with boos from Phil's brigade. A woman in the third row stood, yelling, "Tell her, Dr. Phil." While another shouted, "Joy's right to get off your high horse." Whoopi banged her gavel metaphorically, with a sharp lady's "Doc." But the dam had burst. Cameras swiveled, capturing every flushed cheek, every widened eye. Phil didn't trace his voice. He never did. Instead, he reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a slim folder, the kind that looked innocuous but screamed evidence. "Joy, darlin', I've got nothing against empathy, but let's look at the data, not the drama." He slid the folder across the table, open to a highlighted page. "This here's a meta-analysis from the Journal of Clinical Psychology, a 2023 study, 50,000 participants. It shows that while empathy builds rapport, accountability-driven interventions like the ones I use lead to 42% better long-term outcomes in PTSD recovery." Your systemic chains, they're real, but ignorant personal agency, that's leaving people shackled. Joy snatched the folder, her lips pursing as she scanned it. The panel fell silent, the audience leaning forward as if the table were a poker game and Phil had just laid down a royal flush. This is cherry-picked," she stammered, but her voice wavered, the fire flickering. "You can't reduce human suffering to percentages." "Can't I?" Phil countered, his tone gentle now, almost paternal. "Or maybe we have to, Joy, because if we don't measure what works, we're just guessing. And guessing got us wellness influencers selling crystal healings for $99.99. I've spent 20 years in courtrooms, hospitals, live-in rooms watching families shatter because someone told them it's not your fault one too many times. Fault ain't blame, it's power. And you, of all people, surviving showbiz wars, raising a kid solo, you know that better than most." The words hung there, a velvet glove over an iron fist. Joy's eyes met his, and for a split second, the armor cracked. Not defeat, and no, Joy Behar didn't do defeat, but revelation, the kind that sneaks up in quiet moments, whispering, "Maybe he's not the enemy." She set the folder down, her laugh breaking the tension like sunlight through clouds. "Well, damn, Phil, you got me with the data, but don't think this means I'm watching your show." The audience exploded in laughter and applause, the storm passing as quickly as it came. Whippy wrapped it with a grin, and that's why we love these Showdown set truth with a side of sass. As the cameras cut to commercial, hugs were exchanged. Off-mic whispers flew. Backstage, producers high-fived. This clip was gold, destined to rack up millions on YouTube. But the real stun came later. In living rooms across America, viewers flooded social media. #Phil vs. Joy trended worldwide, with tweets like "Dr. Phil just therapied Joy Behar, mind blown." And finally, someone called out the victim Olympics on TV. Mental health hotlines reported a 15% spike in calls that night, and not from despair, but from folks ready to own their choices, as Phil put it. In the green room, as the adrenaline ebbed, Joy cornered Phil by the craft services table. "You sneaky Texan," she said, popping a grape into her mouth. "That folder? You planned that?" He chuckled, low and rumbling. "Guilty. But Joy, you're good people. Keep swinging and just aim higher." She smirked, raising her water bottle and a mock toast to showdowns that don't end in therapy bills. Outside, the storm finally broke, rain lashing the city like applause. And in the heart of the spectacle, two titans had reminded the world, psychology isn't about destruction. It's about reconstruction, of one explosive truth at a time. As the credits rolled on that fateful episode, the ripple effects spread far beyond the studio. Dr. Phil's book sales surged. His podcast episodes on accountability broke records. Joy, true to form, dedicated her next monologue to the fine line between empathy and enabling, earning her a rare standing ovation from skeptics. Alyssa texted her conservative contacts, "This is how we bridge divides with facts, not fists." Sunny filed a brief in her mind for her next op-ed, while Sarah baked cookies for the green room, whispering to Whippy, "Did you see Joy's face?" Priceless. Viewers thought we were the real star, so woke up changed. A teacher in Ohio replayed the clip during her wellness class, sparking debates that lasted weeks. A veteran in Dallas called his old therapist, folder metaphor in hand. Time to own this. Even in Hollywood, where therapy is as common as kale smoothies, whispers circulated. Phil dropped truth bombs. Joy caught them gracefully. Yet, beneath the viral glory, a quieter story unfolded. Weeks later, at a charity gala for mental health awareness, Phil and Joy crossed paths again. No cameras, no audience, just two warriors in evening wear, clinking glasses amid the glitterati. "Truce?" Joy asked, her eyes dancing. "Always," Phil replied. "But next time, I'm bringing pitch arts." She laughed, the sound echoing like a promise. In a world of sound bites and scandals, their showdown wasn't destruction. It was detonation, a blast that cleared the debris, letting light in. And so, the View spun on, a carousel of controversy and candor. But on that October day, under those unforgiving lights, something profound happened. America glimpsed the messy beauty of human psyches colliding, not with hate, but with the raw, redeeming force of understanding. Stunned? Absolutely. What awakened? Too.